And hello, Nets fans, and welcome back to another episode of the DoDcast Postgame Show. I'm your host, co-editor Ricky Keeler, as the Nationals pick up the win 4-3 over the Diamondbacks at Chase Field. It was not an easy ball game. A very good pitcher's duel for the first 5 innings, and Nats offense finally breaks through in the 6th against Anthony Banda in his Major League debut. Ryan Madsen throws a good 8th, and Sean Doolittle made it interesting. A walk and an error by Anthony Rendon, 1st and 3rd, nobody out. But Sean Doolittle, for the second time as the closer, gets it done. But you're still kind of seeing why the Nats might need that one more reliever in that bullpen. Just a little. But I do like the fact that Madsen and Doolittle have done their job. Doolittle said it wouldn't all be like Tuesday. Well, today was like Tuesday, but it's okay. He gets past. And Tanner Roark had his best start of the season. Makes you think he's starting to find it again. So we want to hear from you tonight, so feel free to chime in on the chat here on the YouTube page. You could also tweet me on Twitter at District on Deck or at Rickinator555. A lot of ways to contact us, and we want to hear from you. So feel free to share your comments. Seth's back from Orlando. That's a nice, good vacation. I love Universal. So glad you're back, Seth. I hope you had a great time. Let's take a look at the box scores, and we'll go through individual things as we usually do. The Nationals get 4 runs, 12 hits, 1 error. That error coming from Anthony Rendon. That was a weird error in the 9th inning because you see the broken bat sort of come into play there, and Rendon's a really good defensive third baseman. You rarely see an error like that on what looked to be a double play ball. I mean, Doolittle got the ground ball he wanted, even though he's not a ground ball guy. So it's tough to really blame Doolittle other than for the walk to Jake Lamb to lead off that inning. But they at least avoid that error being costly. Arizona, 3 runs on 4 hits, 2 of them coming from A.J. Pollock, who continues to hurt the Nats in this series. Tanner Roark gets the win for his 8th of the season, 7 innings, 2 runs, 3 hits, 11 strikeouts, season high. First time he struck out more than 10 since last April against Minnesota when he had the 15 strikeout game. It's April 2016, not this season, of course. And Anthony Banda gets the loss in his debut, 5 2/3, 4 runs, 7 hits, 5 strikeouts. I thought he actually did pretty good. I mean, you look back at his last AAA start against Salt Lake, where he gives up 15 hits over 5 innings, and you wonder, is that the game you want to go into your Major League debut on? But you can make the case that you wipe the slate clean, new challenge. And outside of Bryce Harper, I thought Banda did a nice job. Mixed it, had a nice fastball working, mid to late 90s, good breaking pitches. You can see why he's the #1 prospect in Arizona's organization. This is a team filled with a lot of good arms, and Greinke and Walker, who's on paternity leave, and Robbie Ray. Godley did okay last night. So they have a lot of good arms in that rotation, and Banda may be one of them in the future. Who knows? But I thought he did okay in this ballgame. And Sean Doolittle gets his 2nd save of the season, gets a strikeout, a walk, and an unearned run in an inning of work. Well, first we got Judo will chime in here. And Seth's liking the bullpen. I'm liking the bullpen too, at least right now. Got to give credit to Banda. He may get the loss, but he pitched well, gave a mammoth homer to Bryce, then proceeded to give a solid outing until he hit the wall. He's got good potential. So I agree. I think when Harper, of course, crushes that ball to right center in the 1st inning, 3-2 breaking pitch. Harper now on a 15-game hitting streak. He's got 7 home runs over that span. He's also had 16 of his 25 home runs away from Nats Park this year. So he's been a really good road hitter, and I'll get to why I bring up the whole road thing later on. But Harper got the night started off in good style. The Nats offense kind of sluggish out of the gate the last couple of games before tonight, but Harper sort of ended that right there. Arizona did get that run back on a Chris Iannetta RBI double, which is kind of weird when you look at the D-backs lineup tonight. I think it was set up perfectly for Roark to bounce back because you got Paul Goldschmidt getting the night off, at least until the 9th. JD Martinez still is not healthy after that contusion injury when he got traded. So Nats have not seen him yet in this series. So no Goldschmidt, no JD Martinez, and you get a little bit of a favorable lineup, all things considering, because Arizona's got a really deep lineup. I think they can compete with the Nats from an offensive standpoint. So that's definitely a plus for them. But Roark went out there, his fastball, he had good command of it, 93-94, and that allows him to mix in the breaking ball, mix in the changeup, and gets the job done. Pollock ended up getting a triple in the 6th, which led to a run when Brian Goodwin had the ball hit off his glove. It was going to be a tough play. Goodwin may have taken a different route to it. Jake Lamb drives in with an RBI ground out, but Roark gets 19 of the last 21 he faces. He throws a total of 103 pitches, 66 for strikes. He's now 2-0 since the break, and definitely improved from the Cincinnati start, where we talked about it, all of us did on the DoDcast after that game, because that was the Doolittle-Madsen trade DoDcast. But he's been solid. You look at those 2 starts, maybe they're building onto something. Because without Joe Ross, they need that fourth good starter. You don't need Roark to be great. You just need him to be good. Because the 5 spot, Edwin Jackson's not going to give you what he gave you Tuesday every game. It's just not going to happen. It's tough to expect that. So if Roark can just give you consistency in the second half, you absolutely sign up for it. And that's a start I think you have to be happy with tonight. And I think as Seth and Judo here are talking here, it's an interesting point on the closer conversation. Doolittle, of course, has the closer track record. So does Madsen. Madsen has gotten the fastball up to 99. He's gotten out of jams both times. So it's not as if Madsen has had clean innings either. I mean, if Madsen had the clean inning on Tuesday, which I was really impressed with, it's a small sample size. I think both these guys have done their job. I don't think the closer's role is set in stone. Remember, Dusty Baker said you're likely going to see those guys mix and match in the closer's role between the 2 of them. So I don't think just because Doolittle gets first couple of save chances that he's the guy. Both of them, I think, have done an excellent job in sort of taking the pressure off everybody else. Joe Blanton threw well last night in a batter. Matt Grace, who I wrote about earlier today, has been excellent since the end of June. It takes pressure off Matt Albers. Even Eddie Romero, who had a rough night last night, there's less pressure on him. That's the impact of both these guys. I don't think it matters who pitches the 8th or who pitches the 9th. What matters is they're both here and both pitching well. I mean, Doolittle's had a couple of tough situations, but he's gotten himself out of it. That's what a veteran does. He throws the fastball at 97. He's going to get swings and misses. That's the plus, because at least when he gets into jams, he's going to find his way out of it because he can strike people out. There's no issue with dealing with contact. And, yeah, the leadoff walks are an issue. Leadoff walks are an issue with everybody. But Jake Lamb's a tough hitter to get out. Got him to 3-2. It wasn't like the other night with Crone where he couldn't find the strike zone because of adrenaline. I think it was different tonight where I think Lamb just put a good at-bat together, and you have to give him credit. So he looked a little less amp, which is good. Doolittle's going to pitch fine here. I think the issue just is not an issue. If you want to add another bullpen piece, it has to be a legitimate closer. There just aren't many of those out there. You're not trading for Zach Britton. I don't think you're giving up the farm for Raisel Iglesias. And the guy we'll talk about in a little bit, maybe a guy like in the division could be of help. But I don't think you're going out there and adding a Pat Neshek and adding another setup guy or even paying the price San Diego wants you to pay for Brad Hand. That's not happening either. But I think they could use 1 or 2 more arms in the bullpen. Or 1 more arm in the bullpen, not 2. I think they're okay with 1. So in a 1-1 tie in the 6th, Bond is rolling. Roark is rolling. And give the Nationals credit. Chris Heisey starting it off now because Ryan Rayburn was scratched tonight, and our thoughts and prayers are with his family, the passing of his grandfather. He's going to go on the bereavement list tomorrow. At least he got to pinch hit tonight. So hopefully, again, our thoughts and prayers with the Rayburn family during this difficult time. Chris Heisey gets the start tonight in left, hits second. They drop Wilmer Defoe down to 8th. And Heisey at least delivered the one big hit. He got the triple in the 6th inning. Bryce Harper drives him with a first pitch ground rule double. Ryan Zimmerman, a first pitch double to center, which now he's the all-time leader in doubles in Nats Expos history, passing Tim Wallach. And then 2 batters later, Anthony Rendon with an RBI single to make it 4-1. And that's what the middle of the lineup does. It's going to give you an excellent job of just driving in runs. And you can make the case, I know a lot of people have, it's time to put Rendon second or Harper second or Murphy second. And I get that. The Nats have not gotten consistent production from a number 2 spot. But at the same, to those who say that, and I agree, eventually Dusty's going to have to make a change if it continues. But if Anthony Rendon's going to keep hitting 380 out of one spot, why would I take a hot hitter in Rendon out of that spot in the order? I can't sacrifice the middle of the lineup that has worked so well and move it to the top where that might disrupt the entire lineup. This is one of the best offenses in baseball. Would it be nice to have somebody step up and get on base for Bryce Harper to drive in with a home run? Of course. And I'm sure if the Nats build to a bigger lead, there'll be changes to be made. Like if they are in a position in September where they can play around with some things, maybe you see that. But I think right now, Brian Goodwin had a good night at the leadoff spot, 3 for 5. He's definitely been a good leadoff hitter for this team. It's about trying to find your two-hitter. I think if your only problem with your offense is what your two-hitter's doing, because Wilmer Diffo's had a great July and Matt Wieters has had a couple of doubles in this series, then you're happy. And at least Heisey, when he's getting in the ballgame delivered, he saw 21 pitches the other night. Tonight he sees 22, which leads the team. So at least when Heisey's going up there, he's had a rough season, but I like the fact that he's putting productive at-bats together. He's up there taking pitches. He drew a nice walk in the 7th to load the bases that if Bryce Harper or Ryan Zimmerman drive in a run, then you're giving Heisey more credit than what he ends up getting, which it looked like for a minute that not scoring with the base loaded was going to cost him, but they found a way to get a win. And yes, Doolittle did say that, but I think tonight was a little bit. I got to agree with Judo a little bit. If Rendon gets the ground ball, doesn't throw the error, it's tough. And Seth asked this question: do you regret trading away Felipe Rivera? And I did see, I think Nat's blog had a question like this. They did a poll on Twitter, and they're giving credit for that. I don't. And I'll tell you why. Felipe Rivera was not this good with the Nats. I saw Matt Williams overuse him. I even saw Dusty overuse him in the first half of the season. So there was no way I think that anybody thought he was going to be this good the way he's pitching now with the Pirates. You got to give up something to get something. That's just the way the deadline works. And Mark Melancon was really good for the Nationals last year. He wasn't part of the problem. Yes, he doesn't re-sign, but again, I think you also give credit to Ray Searage in Pittsburgh. He's one of the best pitching coaches in the league, if not the best pitching coach in the league. And he's gotten the most out of everybody that's come there. He's had a lot of reclamation projects that have worked. Rivera's one of them. And he's done a nice job, and you tip your hat to him. But I'm not going to sit here and say they shouldn't have got Mark Melancon. Then to those who say that, let me ask you this question. Would you have been comfortable with Jonathan Palabon's closing games in the playoffs last year? Because I wouldn't. Maybe Ron's better off answering this. He's the Red Sox fan. But I think that's one I can't blame Mike Rizzo for. Because at the time it looked like a steal because Eric Fatty wasn't in that deal. Because Robles wasn't in that deal. Because Giolito wasn't in that deal. And those were the talks at that deadline last year. So if they got him for Taylor Hearn and Rivera, who's turned his career around, then you tip your cap to the Pirates. But I'm not sitting here saying I regret not getting Mark Melancon. Well, hey, Drew's here. That's good. We got a full party here tonight. And I do agree, Judo. I think when you put Rendon in the 2-hole, eventually it's going to work out. I'm not moving him now. I'm not moving him the way he's hitting. I mean, if you want to have a talk about middle of the order, maybe you move Murphy to clean up and move Zimmerman to 5th. But then you're putting the lefties against each other, and I don't think Dusty wants to do that. That's just going to be the way the lineup is. I think your only gripe would be tonight. I would want to see Wilmer Defoe hit second. I want to say Defoe hit second and Heisey hit 8th. That's really the only gripe I have with the lineup right now. And Seth, that's a good call about you. And I think it's just the fact, Seth, we talk about it a lot. When these guys have roles, they're going to pitch better. I mean, the first half was like Dusty pulling names out of a hat, trying to figure out who's going to pitch. Now I know it's some combination of Ryan Madsen and Sean Doodles coming in the game in the 8th and 9th inning. I don't have to worry about if Matt Albers is closing on Monday or Oliver Perez is closing on Tuesday or Eddie Romero is closing on Wednesday. I'm not worrying about that anymore. And that's great. You saw how pumped the dugout was Tuesday when Madsen got out of the 8th inning because they're not used to that. That's what makes this team arguably the second best team in the National League, because now they have those two guys. They have the consistent starting pitching. They have the good offense. It's just a matter of can they catch the juggernaut that is out in the West Coast. That's a different story. For now, this team looks really good. Their offense is sort of, I think before they were down 5-0 last night, you wondered if the offense was a problem, and then they bounced back and at least tied that ball game up and bailed out Scherzer, which is what you need sometimes. But these are the kind of games like tonight that you need to win in October. And for Madsen and Doolittle to get the job done, and yes, it wasn't easy for Doolittle, but he did a nice job. Again, Goodwin with 3 hits, Zimmerman with 2 hits. Actually, I think everybody got a hit but Wilmer Defoe. So nice job by Defoe did get a hit. So every position player that started got a hit tonight. So nice job by the Nationals. That seems to happen every night with this team. The one problem I would think offensively, you got to get some of those runs home with bases loaded. Zimmerman seems to have an issue with that. Goes back to last season. Harper strikes out in 3 pitches, which is rare with bases loaded against De La Rosa, who's looked really good as a reliever compared to as a starter with Colorado. But besides that, I like the way the offense is playing. So definitely some good signs tonight, and I think that they can take a lot from this ball game as they head to the series finale tomorrow, and a chance to go 7-2 on this road trip. Which again, another 3-city road trip, 2 on the West Coast, and you find a way to have a really good trip. Even 6-3, I think you have to be happy with, even if you lose the series. So before we look around the division, let's take a look at the game tomorrow. I'll be with you tomorrow too. I've been here with you guys for both wins this week. So, well, Drew was here Monday, but both wins on the West Coast. Maybe I'm the good luck charm or something. 4:10 Eastern tomorrow on Masson 2. It'll be Steven Strasburg on the mound for the Nats. Strasburg 10-3 with a 3.31 ERA against Robbie Ray for the Diamondbacks. Ray's 9-4 with a 2.97. Both these guys have over 139 strikeouts. So this could be a really good strikeout game tomorrow. And I think you got to feel confident again with Strasburg on the mound. He sort of shook off some of the concerns from that Atlanta outing against Cincinnati. He got the extra rest after the break, which I think helped him. 7 innings, 1 run, solo shot by Suarez, 11 strikeouts, 105 pitches. Drew was with you guys for that one. It was the day game, and I think he's been excellent. I mean, you look right now, he's got, at his last 10, 4 double-digit strikeout games. You have to be content with that. He looks to be down, and he's really good on the road this season. You look at his away numbers, he's 7-1, 2.45 ERA, and a batting average against a 198. So both Scherzer and Strasburg have insane road numbers. Judo asked me any reason to not be worried about Max. Any reason to be worried about Max? I'm going to go with no. I think just sometimes you have a bad inning. I think that's what he had last night. He bounced back in a big way, at least got 9 strikeouts, got through 5 innings. Sometimes Arizona's a team that's going to be aggressive with the fastball. And if you don't locate it well, they're going to make you pay. I didn't sit there last night and think that he's hurt. So he had a bad game. It's going to happen. And we talk about the FP thing, what FP said about Torey Lovello deserves Manager of the Year consideration, deserves the title. I think it's between him and Bud Black. I think it depends on if Colorado makes the playoffs. You can make a case for Craig Counsell of Milwaukee. If the Brewers win the Central, Craig Counsell should get it. Because what Milwaukee's done in what looked like a rebuilding year, and I still think they need Sonny Gray to win the Central. What Counsell's done, I think Lovello, we all knew how good he could be as a manager. You saw the impact he had on a Red Sox team that when they made a manager when he was the interim manager. So I don't think anybody doubted Lovello would be a good manager. But you got Lovello, you've got Black, because Colorado would be a huge surprise if they made the playoffs. Counsell. It just takes kind of Dusty and Dave Roberts out of consideration, and both have done great jobs this year. But I think your 3 candidates are Lovello, Counsell, and Black in no particular order in the National League. It's just going to be a matter of how things shake out. Heck, if Pittsburgh even goes on a run here, you can make Clint Hurdle the guy. So there's a lot of surprise candidates that can go around here. But I think it's a good question. You did mention Harper, 15-game hitting streak. He's been insane how good he's been. And he deserved the night off the other night. I know ESPN wasn't happy about it, but he deserved the night off the other night. You see why. He just comes back out and puts up great numbers. Let's talk about Robbie Ray. And I think it's going to be a tough challenge for the Nats tomorrow. He did face Washington earlier in the season and was really good in that game as well. That game back in May. In that outing, he went 6 innings, 2 runs, 4 hits, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk. He lost a 2-1 ball game. Ray could strike out a lot of guys. He had 13 against the Dodgers in his last start before the break, but he does walk a lot of guys. If you look at his last 6 or 7 starts, he's got at least 2 walks in each game, and he has 5 4+ walk games. So if the Nationals can stay patient, not get behind in a lot of counts, they can take advantage of it. That's where Ray is kind of in the next step of his development. If he can walk fewer guys, he's got 55 walks this year. Now, the interesting decision the Nationals are going to have tomorrow is how they're going to reconstruct their line. Does Steven Drew get a day, even though where Defoe is 3 for 6 with a home run and a couple RBIs against them? Wonder if Steven Drew still gets a day off. But I think looking at the lineup, and Chelsea Janes, the Washington Post, was the first one who tweeted that because Rayburn's going on the bereavement list, you'll see Pedro Severino, who has had an up-and-down year at Syracuse. He has had some injuries. But Severino, when he has come up to the major league level, has done a nice job. Does he start tomorrow? No, I don't think so. It's a long flight to Arizona. Maybe you see him Tuesday against Milwaukee or something. Remember, you're up to on the bereavement list for at least 3 days and no more than 7. So Severino might get a game or 2, but the Nationals don't have a lot of outfield depth. They can't call up Andrew Stevenson. They can't call up Alejandro De Aza or Brandon Snyder because they'd have to DFA somebody off the 40. And they're not in a position to risk that for somebody that might only take the spot for a few days. You might see Stevenson down the road, but I don't think now would be the time to make that move. So let's take a look around the division. I will update the record at some point, by the way. I do keep tabs. I don't like to do it after every show, but I do have the list here. If you guys want it, I will reveal it. One game in progress in the division. That's out in L.A. The Dodgers with a 4-2 lead in the top of the 8th inning against Atlanta. So if this score holds, the Nats are back up by 11 in the National League East. Corey Seager has a home run tonight. Chase Utley, a home run in the 6th to break a 2-2 tie against Tehran. And for Atlanta, Freddie Freeman, another RBI tonight, and so does Matt Kemp. Dodgers also made a trade today. Ken Rosenthal reported that Sergio Romo is going to Tampa for cash considerations. Romo not having a good year, but Tampa Bay gets another reliever with postseason experience. You have to think they're going to be in the mix for another arm. So Dodgers made a move earlier today. Out in Miami, the Marlins, you see who they were playing. Marlins beat Cincinnati 5-4. So they go to 44-51. JT Realmuto with a 2-run shot and a pair of home runs in this game. Giancarlo Stanton also with an RBI. He's up to 65. Jacob Wickren got the win for Miami. He goes to 3-1. AJ Ramos to save his 19th of the year. The New York Mets were taking on the A's. The Mets were down 5-0 going into the bottom of the 6th. They rallied back to win 6-5. Jay Bruce, a 2-run shot in the 6th, his 25th of the season. Wilmer Flores picks up the walk-off home run in the bottom of the 9th. Blake Trinan did get in for the A's, and then in a third, 2 strikeouts after Sean Manaea. Hansel Robles got the win. Zach Wheeler, a rough outing for New York, but they get to have won back-to-back games against Oakland. And the Phillies, back and forth game with the Brewers, who had lost 6 straight. They tied it in the 8th with a Cameron Rupp 3-run homer, but Milwaukee won the game on a Domingo Santana RBI single in the 9th. So they snap a 6-game losing streak. Ryan Braun 3 for 3 with 4 RBIs and a home run tonight. Travis Shaw, also his 22nd of the season. The Brewers have a good offense, and that'll be an interesting test for the Nationals next week because Eric Thames can hit the ball out of the park. Shaw can hit the ball out of the park. Villar's a good player. I like Domingo Santana. They got Eric Sogard back today at second base. We'll see if they make another move. And Corey Knebel's been one of the better closers in the league this year. So that homestand with Milwaukee and Colorado is going to be really interesting. Let's look around the minor leagues. And let's go with the AAA team in Syracuse. They lost to Columbus 5-4. Sammy Solis took the loss in this one. He has not had a good season. You hope he gets healthy. 2 innings, 1 run, 2 hits, a couple of strikeouts. Sean O'Sullivan got the start for the Chiefs tonight. Andrew Stevenson, we talked about him earlier, a solo 2-run shot, his 3rd of the season. And Clint Robinson, a solo homer, his 14th. He's now got 56 RBIs for the Chiefs this season. Out in Double-A, the Senators beat the Binghamton Rumble Ponies 7-3. Austin Voth, who only had 1 minor league win the entire year, he's now in Double-A after coming back from injury. Got a win I think he needed. 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. So not a bad outing for him. Roddy Reed had 3 hits, including a home run and 4 RBIs, triple shy of the cycle. Zach Collier, a couple of hits. And Reed's the name you got to watch at catcher. He's now got 10 home runs this year, as I mentioned. And with Severino's injuries, Reed has sort of gotten more of the attention catching-wise in the organization. A little rain prevented Potomac from finishing their game tonight. They'll pick it up tomorrow in the top of the 5th with Potomac leading Lynchburg 6-5. Rhett Weissman, a solo shot for his 3rd of the season, his 8th of the season. And Taylor Gashu, a home run, his 16th of the year. Jack Sundberg, 3 for 3 with a couple RBIs. Taylor Golbo got the start, 6 strikeouts, and 4 2/3 before the rain showed up, but he gave up all 5 runs. Hagerstown lost to the Augusta Green Jackets 8-3. Only 7 hits for the Suns, 2 of them from Angelo LaBruna. Anderson Franco, an RBI, his 49th of the season. Franco's been playing 3rd base, and Sheldon Noisy is now in the A's organization. Sterling Sharp got the loss, 3 1/3, 6 runs, 9 hits, and a strikeout, and a walk. Mackenzie Mills actually will start tomorrow, so I don't have to get him tomorrow night when we do the show. Mills is going for his 12th win of the season. Auburn lost to Mahoning Valley in New York Penn League action, 5-4. So the Doubledays got 2 hits from Brandon Maggetto. Chance Shepard's had a nice on-base streak going for him. Alex Troop took the loss, 4 innings, 3 earned runs, 6 hits. He struck out 2, but not enough to get the win tonight. GCL Nats had a double header. Interesting thing to talk about. They lost both games, one of them 4-1, the other 1-0. But I talk about the GCL Nats from this standpoint. Will Crow and Seth Romero, both their top 2 picks, are on the GCL roster. So if we can, when Will Crow or Seth Romero pitches, we'll try to keep you updated on what they're doing. So let me talk about here with we're going to update the record. You know what? We're updating the records. Ron's 31-20. I'm 27-17. Drew's 5-4. I don't have the winning percentage. We'll do that tomorrow. I need time to sort of calculate the winning percentages, but that's where we stand on the DoDcast records. Ron and I are usually about even. We told Drew we're not doing winning percentages for him until about 15, 20 games in. It's kind of like when you have a minimum qualification for a stat. But Drew does a nice job. I do agree, Seth. He's been really good hosting shows, and Ron does a good job too. They had a lot of stuff up on the site, so let's talk about it. Obviously, we give you guys great content. Well, I think we give you great content. We hope you think the same. I had an article up today about how good Matt Grace has been over the last month. He's just been, I think the difference for him has been his sinker. But before last night, 1 extra base hit against that pitch this year. He's given up just 1 home run in his entire career out of the bullpen. And you have to wonder, if the Nationals do make another move, you can't send Matt Grace back down. If anything, you got to give him more high leverage situations with the way he's been pitching. He was excellent last night. And Ron wrote about A.J. Ramos as a trade target. I actually like Ramos. The one thing I worry about is if giving too much, or the Marlins will want too much from a division rival, not a rival, but a team in the division. But you see the Marlins got 4 prospects for David Phelps, and the rumors are they're not going to ask for a lot compared to that. So if you can get Ramos for less than what they got for David Phelps, I think you take a shot. Yes, he doesn't have the postseason experience, but he's picked up big saves. I would love to see what he could do on a contending team, and a lot of teams want him. I think the 2 relievers are going to get a lot of traction between now and next Monday are A.J. Ramos and Justin Wilson. Because right now, I don't really see Britton going anywhere. I mean, maybe Houston, maybe LA, but Baltimore's struggling. Brad Brock could be on the move. Obviously, we talked about Brad Hand, and AJ Preller wants the moon for Brad Hand, and there's so many teams in on him. So there's still some interesting names. There's not that clear-cut dominant name this year. There was no Chapman. There's no Andrew Miller. I think the Nats did a good job with the Doolittle and Madsen deals, and we'll see if Mike Rizzo has one more move up his sleeve. The key thing I think you want to watch for is the outfield spot. Jason Wirt's still not back. Michael Taylor isn't. Every time he tries to get in your baseball activities, the oblique flares up. I'm not saying you have to go out there and get like a Jay Bruce or something like that, or they should have been on the JD Martinez sweepstakes. No, I'm not going to go that far. But think about a move like what Cleveland did last year. The Indians went out there and they got a guy named Brandon Guyer. Not a household name, but a guy who can come in, be a good outfield bat off the bench, and contribute. The Nats just need depth in the outfield. Right now, they're one outfield injury away from having to call somebody up and make a move on the 40. Because they're just not position-wise. Everybody's hurt right now that could play the outfield. I mean, Adam Lind would be the next outfielder if somebody got hurt during a game. And you're not confident with Adam Lind out in left field. So with Wirth maybe not back till August, Taylor not back probably till August. Maybe you think about it at the waiver deadline. Remember, you could still make trades after July 31st. The player just has to clear waivers. So maybe that's the time where you look at outfield, you look at a fifth starter, because the starting pitching prices are too high. You're not giving up the moon for Lance Lynn or Marco Estrada or even what's going on with Atlanta and Jaime Garcia. You're not doing that. You like what Edwin Jackson's given you, and if Eric Fetty comes up in a month from now and puts up a good start, then you're happy with what you got. I think Jackson's here until Fetty's ready, but Jackson's been able to put up some good numbers. I don't think Fetty's pitching again until Monday. And we're actually off. Nats are off Monday, but we'll try to keep you updated as best we can. Going up on the site tomorrow, Ron's got Player of the Week. I'm not going to tell you who it is because I want you to read it, but you can probably take a couple of guesses as to who it is. I'm going to have an article up about road numbers. I'm going to tell you some cool stats. I'll kind of tease the article out a little bit here about what's gone on with the Nats. I think they've been an excellent road team this season. They've won 32 road games this year. There are only two teams in baseball with 30 or more road wins, the Nats and the Astros. And I'll throw one more stat at you because I want you to read the column. Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, Gio Gonzalez. A combined road record, yes, wins and losses are not everything, 22-6. You heard me right, 22-6. So while the Nats are right now a 5-game lead on Milwaukee for home field in the first round, if the Nats do get a position where they lose a home game early or have to, let's say in the NLCS, let's throw out there, for example, go to LA and win a game or two. They've shown they can do that this year. And I think early on it was to get away from the whole thing where everybody's worried about the closer, but that they can just relax on the road. But you look at some of these numbers they're putting up away from Nats Park, and it's insane. I'll dive into more of those numbers tomorrow, but like I mentioned earlier, Bryce Harper, 16 road home runs out of 25. It's amazing, and they can just go on the road and continue to produce. It really is. And usually you just want to be a little bit over 500 on the road. They've been more than that, and that's been impressive. And Judo, I'm not a huge fan of the whole Hunter Strickland thing. I hope Michael Morse gets back. I mean, we'll see if he decides to make another comeback at it. But if that ends up being the end of Michael Morse's career, then it looks even worse on Hunter Strickland to me. So I'll be with you tomorrow. We also gonna have an exciting interview for you on Monday. We're not going to tell you who it is, but I think you'll enjoy it. We got another prominent guest coming on the show on Monday. So we got a good show Sunday because I'm hosting, but it's always a good show. Prominent guest on Monday, Ron and Drew will be hosting. And then we'll be back for Milwaukee and Colorado. So that should be a lot of fun. We're hoping for the Rocky series we can get a guest for that because that's a big series. We like to get guests for all the big ones. We're planning a trade deadline show as well. So a lot of good content coming up. I also, again, if you missed it, I got a chance to talk with Syracuse announcer Kevin Brown. So if you want more on Eric Fetty, more on Edwin Jackson, more on Andrew Stevenson. We did all of our full season affiliates for the Nationals in terms of minor leagues. So I hope you enjoyed all those interviews we did with announcers and writers that want to give you the best info we can. And yeah, right now you're looking at, if it is the NLDS, it's either Milwaukee or the Cubs. And I think you got to be worried about the Cubs right now, the way they've been playing. Because LA is probably going to get the wild card. And that might be you can make the case, depending on who wins the Central, it might be the tougher opponent. But a long way to go. There's a lot of baseball left. We've only played about 96 games. We're still about over 65 to go. But we'll see if Steven Strasburg can go out there tomorrow and get the Nats 2 out of 3 in Arizona and 4 out of 6 for the year, which would be ecstatic if they could do that against a good team like Arizona. So from all of us here at District Down Deck, for Ron and Drew and our entire team, I'm Ricky Keeler saying hope you have a great rest of your night. And I'll see you back here after the game tomorrow night for the wrap-up between the Nats and the Diamondbacks.